Got a couple of motocross races coming up. I got invited to race something called the 24 Hours of Glen Helen. This is exciting. It's a big time race on a bike I've never ridden that's not set up for me on a world-class motocross track. What could possibly go wrong?
Oh, you can't see nothing in the dark.
What the hell was I thinking? I can't believe I got myself involved in this. Racing in the dark was much harder than I ever thought it could be. I spent most of my training time working on stamina and my abilities on a motocross track instead of the real killer in this race, the dark and dusty hills of Glen Helen at night. So if you've never been there, let me say welcome to San Bernardino, California, home of Glen Helen Raceway. And you can't really blame me for being concerned about the motocross. After all, Glen Helen is a well-known national motocross championship racetrack. And even though I knew that this race would probably take place on the trails and two tracks that litter the hills surrounding the MX track, I was pretty sure that they wouldn't avoid the motocross stuff altogether. And while the MX track sections were a lot easier than I expected, it was still a little intimidating on an unfamiliar bike. Of course, working on my endurance was never a bad idea. I mean, a 24-hour race is all about endurance. And while incredibly, a few riders were able to Ironman the race, which is to say that they raced the whole 24 hours alone, it's definitely doable for even an out-of-shape slob like me when you have the right group of guys on your team. And I gotta say, I'm absolutely grateful for the kick-ass teammates that B&L Motorsports brought together. Let me introduce you to the OG squad. Older Guys Blue Crew, aka the Over 30 Vet Team.
My name's Nick Elliott from Phoenix, Arizona. I usually do work series. I want to thank Austin and B&L Motorsports for allowing this to happen.
My name's Richard Heyer from Surprise, Arizona. A little bit of AMRA, a lot of AZOP, and a lot of works. We're representing the B&L Motorsports team. I want to thank Austin for allowing us to do this. It's a pretty big honor. I really want to thank the Pin Enterprise for helping set up the bike. Recluse clutches, ASV, and I think that's about it, man.
Hey everybody, I'm Joseph Kamai from Sierra Vista, Arizona. I generally ride AMRA, single track kind of stuff. Not much of a motocross guy, although those of you who watch the Joe Rockstar channel already know me and know that I try it once in a while to epic failure. And I really appreciate it. Racing out here for B&L Motorsports is gonna be awesome. I can't wait to do it. Probably not gonna be the best racer that we have. On the serious side, I'd like to thank all of my Patreon sponsors for helping getting me out here. I'd like to also thank CSA, A Select Tile, and Roost Motorsports for the goggle support. Thank you very much, guys. And let's get this on.
I'm Cory Bott from Marana, Arizona. I came from a background of racing desert racing mostly from Whiplash days and now running up into the Work Series. I'd like to thank some of my sponsors, Factory Backing, IMS, Serbies, CTS Tires, and looking forward to this event here, the 24-hour Glen Helen. It should be an awesome event.
My name's Chris Bouchard. I mostly ride single track and off-road racing. And I'm here to do the 24 Hours of Glen Helen race with B&L Motorsports for their vet team. And I'm really excited, super happy to be here. My sponsors are FXR and Kenda Tires.
My name is Chris Mankowski. I'm from Gilbert, Arizona. It's my first Glen Helen 24-hour. Sponsors I want to thank Dunlop, No Toil, Scott, OD Grips, O'Neill, everybody else. Can't think of it all right now, but thank everybody for your support.
Turns out, not only was I not the best rider on our team, I was the weakest link. Turning in an average at best performance during the day and a downright embarrassing performance in the dark, which resulted in a race-ending injury, I absolutely deserve this slice of humble pie after the bad attitude I displayed at the Honey Badger Enduro in September.
Finally, we arrived at Test 1, and I was warmed up and ready to let it rip. Unfortunately, a few guys were still in the transfer mode. It seemed like they were out for a Sunday cruise.
There, I had the nerve to criticize other riders for slowing me down.
Oh, come on! Go around!
And if you saw that video and thought, wow, Joe's really being an asshole, well, I have to agree with you. I might have improved quite a bit since I started racing, but I certainly still have a long way to go. In January, when I start racing the intermediate or B class, I'm sure that I'm going to find humility again. But we don't even have to wait that long, as this race at Glen Helen really put me in my place for sure.
I hope that got caught on film.
Now, while I admit my shortcomings, at the same time my ego really wants me to protect myself and point out that there are some mitigating circumstances here. It's not like I'm a terrible rider again. I'm just not good enough yet to overcome certain challenges that seem to affect my teammates less.
First impressions. The throttle is really aggressive, and he said this is a stock map. It's made for motocross. But something else I'm noticing is the steering. It's way looser. There's something up with the steering. I haven't figured it out yet. I'm definitely gonna miss not having the 300 because this thing just feels sketchy as hell.
The first and toughest challenge to me was the bike.
I gotta get used to this bike, so this bike does not feel like it's tracking the ground very well.
Now, before all the Yamaha fans start heading down my street with torches and pitchforks, I'm not trying to badmouth Yamaha. In fact, brand loyalty to me is one of the most toxic things in this sport. People act as if their choice of which bike to ride is somehow tied to their identity as a person. A slight against their favorite brand is like an attack on them personally. And then they feel like they have to defend that brand as if they owe the company something, and it's absolutely ridiculous. The worst of it is when people feel the need to launch unprovoked attacks on another rider about which brand they chose. I can only assume that it's some kind of sense of inferiority that can only be overcome with hostility and arrogance, and I'm ashamed every time I catch myself doing it. Now, I'm sure that every bike has strong points as well as weak points, but to me the choice of bike to ride is about the way that it feels, not the stats on the paper, the price tag, or the famous people and friends that ride them. And unfortunately, the 2018 YZ450 just wasn't a good fit for my riding style. For others, I bet it's a perfect bike. But to me, the most glaring problem was that the suspension was 100% stock and set up for a lighter guy on a motocross track. This effectively made the single track and trails much more punishing on the knees and arms, as the bike refused to soak up the rocks and bumps nicely. Combine that with the second most glaring problem, a ridiculously sensitive and aggressive throttle response, and I was struggling almost every inch of the way to keep this beast under control. Lastly, even with the Recluse clutch installed, the bike had a tendency to stall whenever you chopped the throttle. So it's no surprise that when you pair this bike with an at best average rider like myself, the results weren't going to be that good.
Hey everybody, so it is Wednesday morning, October 16th, which happens to be my birthday, and I'm on my way to work. The significance of this day, besides the fact that it's the day of my birth, is that tonight, well, really late tonight, early tomorrow morning, we'll be leaving for the 24 Hours of Glen Helen. This is how a 24-hour race, like the 24 Hours of Glen Helen, actually becomes a 96-hour race. Over 96 hours, if you keep driving to and from. Well, it's after midnight, so it's no longer my birthday,
got the truck packed up, and now we're on the road on the way to Chris's house. We'll probably be leaving there around 2 a.m., so we should get to California by around 9, I'd say, maybe 9 a.m., where we're going to get out and do some practice. We're probably going to be dogged out tired. But that's the price you got to pay when you want to be famous dirt bike riders. It's amazing the resiliency of the average dirt bike rider. Recently, we suffered a chemical attack. Is anybody in disagreement here? Did we or did we not suffer a chemical attack?
My eyes are still burning.
Yeah. And now we're talking about dirt bikes again. Like, we can't, like 5 minutes ago, we were like dying and we all thought the end of the world was here, and now we're just talking about dirt bikes again. Just saying. Just saying.
All right, so it's the morning of the race, and everybody's making sure that I understand what to do, what my job is, how not to mess it up. It seems to me like nobody has any confidence in my abilities, which is pretty smart. But I'm going to do my best not to screw it up. And we'll be starting here pretty soon.
All right, guys, I want to thank you for coming out. It's our 20th year. We decided to do the 24 Hours of Glen Helen.
Yeah, it does. Rich has gone out, he's done a lap, he's about to come into the pits. I'm just getting ready just in case he needs me to take over for him. If not, then I'll be sitting for another 20-30 minutes, and then it'll be my turn. The waiting.
All yours. Go!
course at Glen Helen is not particularly difficult, but there are a few tricky spots here and there. So why am I so slow? Well, because there was one huge obstacle right between my ears, and I just couldn't get past it. I felt like I could and should go faster, but it would be so easy to miss a turn on these wide open fire roads. And the surface was constantly shifting from hard pack to deep silts. I was constantly worried about things that weren't even there. If I could just get past my fears, this course would have been a piece of cake. Well, at least until darkness fell, where I'm positive that my biggest problem was my horrible night vision.
Okay. Richard, I hope you really like your bike. And I'm happy for you if you do. But this is a freaking horrible bike for this. It's no good for this. This bike hates you and it wants you to crash. So hard to stand up at this point. I'm really tired. I'm glad we're only doing 2 laps because I don't know if I could do a third without crashing a lot. My hands are just toasted. All right, so that was my first run. Oh shit, forgot.
My second lap was much better than my first, and I almost salvaged what would have been a pretty bad run. And then I forgot my one responsibility. See, the team plan was for 3 of us to ride the 450 while the other 3 rode the 250. I was the last of the group that rides the 450, so it was my job to switch bikes and switch the transponders out at the end of my run. Oops. And this wasn't going to be my last mistake, because my next ride was going to be in the dark.
Here, I'll just kill it. Sorry, got off the wrong way.
Yeah. Good job, man.
Good, yeah, we don't need no issues? Good, no. Everything's good.
All right, you're good.
Time for me to do my night run. All right. Get some gas in the bike. You done?
This is the other mitigating circumstance. Besides riding an unfamiliar bike, getting older sucks. And over the past year, I've noticed that I can no longer read small print without a damn spotlight on it. In the dark, I'm just about worthless on a bike. But when it came time to do my night run, I thought maybe it's all in my head and I'll just be fine. Turns out it wasn't all in my head, and I wouldn't be just fine. Within the first 5 minutes, I would find myself on the ground and exhausted trying to pick up a bike on the side of one of the steepest hills. Overwatering had turned the right side of Mount St. Helen into a swamp, and I managed to bog out in the deep mud. It was like trying to pick up a bike with the ground covered in snot. I tried, but the only realistic option was to go back down and attack the left side of the hill. Where I thought there's no way anyone could see, let alone avoid going off a cliff or hitting a tree, other riders were just blowing by me with no issues. And when I tried to pick up the pace myself, I got nothing but disastrous results.
Oh, you can't see nothing in the dark with these lights. I mean, this is just stupid. Like, we know I can ride faster than this. I just can't see. And every time it starts to clear up a little bit, I lose it all again. Mother effer. Oh man. To add insult to injury, I freaking hurt myself on that last drop. Freaking ankle again. Oh my god, look at that. Holy cow, that's so cool. Oh, I might have made this worth it a little bit. Maybe not, maybe I'm just delusional because I'm hurting pretty bad. And for my teammates, I apologize so much for being slow. For not being able to keep this up because I'm not going to be able to do 2 laps. I'm not going to be able to do any more laps in the dark. I can't. I can't. God. Oh my God. In the dark. I can't do it when you can't see the trail. Because every time someone passes me up, it just turns into a whiteout. Oh God, I'm just... It's f***ing shit. I can't do this when I can't see. My hat's off to all you guys who do this stuff every year or more often, do the night stuff. I am 100% respect for all of you and your abilities. Oh Jesus, almost went down on the street. You all are supermen, and I am not.
In the hills of Glen Helen, night had turned that course into a black, dusty abyss for me. And by the end of the lap, I had a deep thigh bruise, and I was nursing a serious burn to my right knee that was getting badly infected. When I first finished the lap, I thought I might be able to go back out and race some more later on, but once I got off the bike and started resting, the real pain started. and I knew there was no way I should be riding anymore. So this would end my part in the race, but the team would pick up the slack and finish. Now, we took first in our class, and I have to be honest, we were the only team in our class, so there is that. But I still think this team deserves some recognition. I mean, the mere fact that no other group could field an old guys squad is something. We did what no other guys in our age and skill group were willing to try. And that's my story, and I'm sticking to it. And this trophy's going up on the wall right next to the rest of them. Now, I appreciate all of you who stuck it out for the whole video. And I have to give my deepest gratitude to the Patreon supporters and sponsors who provided the financial support that is keeping my head above water and keeping this channel running. Without them, I'd surely be unable to keep this up. And for the rest of you, thank you for watching. Don't forget to like, comment, share, and subscribe. And if you'd like to help me out, go to www.joerockstar.com to pledge your support. Thanks again, and we'll see you next time.